Stand by to receive our transmission.
You're listening to Comics Podcasting on the edge of civility.
You're listening to Mean Geek, episode 161.
Same bat motherfucking channel. So what is up? It's the next episode. We just had our monster. Of course, it's the next episode. What the hell kind of thing is that to say?
It's always the next episode.
That's a dumbass thing to say.
And the one before was always the previous. It's very,
Yes,
a lot of
it's
depth there.
Strange how that operates. No, this is 1/5 of the Mean Geek, and we've just finished up a monstrous and frankly irritating Marvel episode.
There was a lot.
There was so much to cover.
Some heavy
so
X-Men in
many
there.
books, and yeah, the X-Men kind of got in our way.
Now, are we doing anything special for 175 or waiting for 200?
Nah, you know what? I think 200 is good enough.
Okay.
25 issues. I mean, that's not that far away at this point. So.
No, that's why I asked.
No, not going to bother. I might tell somebody they can have a box of shite, but you know, it's not going to be like an all-out 6-hour Mean Geek spectacular.
Thank God.
Yes. So, but since we've gone through Marvels, that must mean that this is Indie Week.
It is, in fact, Indie Week.
And Indie Week is damn near getting as big as Marvel Week. If it wasn't for that double shipping shit, they'd be equal. Which makes me cry a bit about the DCs, man. No, there's a lot of good books, and they don't all belong to Marvel.
Well,
But,
under our new aegis, we're going to occasionally try a random book here or there, try and bring one different thing in, so maybe we'll do a couple DCs. But I refuse to spend money just to say, oh, and I don't like this. It's got
That's
to
what
look
I'm
appealing.
saying, man. It's getting a little old, man. I can't handle most of the DC books anymore. But there's so many good indie books. I just don't know how to handle these.
No, it's
I'm
insane.
like, should I get them all? Should I wait for trades? What's the smarter course of action most of the time?
The problem with the problem and the success of waiting for trades is that often you forget.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's the hardcore part. But I got a plan for that now.
True.
I have a plan. We're going to take the individual issues we got, put them in a folder, revisit them every 6 months or so, and the ones that effectively jump out and say, yes, that was good, they get a trade. And then, a secondary decision is made from there about where to go forward from that one. So,
It's true.
but there's one that we don't have to worry about because it's been consistently is Brother Lono.
Brother Lono.
Number 6. It's almost done, man.
Oh, that's
It's got to
true.
be a little, you're going to get your end of story, you're going to get your climax, but it's got to be a little bittersweet, right?
I am not happy to see 100 Bullets once more come into my life only to leave. But at least I got this little retro revisit. It's right now things are bulking up. Everyone is inherently unlikable in this. Like,
Everyone. The lying nun.
the nun who's actually a DEA agent.
The waffling priest that can't make up his mind
Right,
whether he's
and
going to be in bed with the criminals or...
Is he like one of their brothers or something? There's a relationship there that's not fully
Yes,
examined.
that nobody's talking about just yet.
Paulo, the ex-orphan, who's now
Yep.
the guy in the car trying to recruit little kid. Like, just everyone's awful. And then you have Lono, who's professionally awful.
Literally, he gets paid to be awful.
And you have this great moment where everyone's turning on each other and Lono gets captured. And the priest is like, oh, no, this is not good. And they're like, no, what? Everyone's fine. He's like, no, you don't understand. I've heard Lono's confession. He's going to do awful things to all those people. He's not the prison. Like, no, you've totally misread this situation.
He may look like a big dumb guy who can't really handle things effectively, but that's not the truth.
He's inherently evil.
He came here because his evilness could no longer be contained, and that actually scared his ass. But I've dug it. It takes 2 reads to get through and really follow what in the hell he's talking about most of the time, though.
Well, you always enjoyed 100 Bullets much more as a graphic and a full story than individual issues.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it came out in a period where I wasn't getting issues.
True.
So that was the only way I could read it.
Well, that and like they were so. Whenever I showed you like an individual issue, like it's so haphazard and hard to follow even together. Just random pieces of it is an unholy nightmare.
So what else do we got to say about 6?
That I mean, you're starting to come to the close. The characters are gathering together. You're starting to find some of the secrets out, and you have to wonder: it's like, will they resolve everything? Being that this is a miniseries, in the past, like there'd always still be questions even when your storyline ended.
Yeah,
but
as a mini, I would say Azrael's probably going to wrap it up tight. He's got 2 more issues to do it, so it shouldn't be that difficult for him. Because he's a pretty tight plotter, so he should be able to move it right along and just finish it right up.
It's true.
So, but we're looking forward to it regardless.
No, great book.
Bringing us to Astro City 6. No, wait, I skipped over that. Haha, Star Wars 11.
Ah, very nice.
Now, the jumped up Birrah Seah, who was merely an engineer of some sort, and then Vader promoted her above like 700,000 other worthy Imperials. She knows everything's over, so she hightails it. She just gets the fuck out.
I have disappointed Vader. I'm going to run away.
Yep, that's the smarter thing, man. There's no way around it. You got to get out of force choke range fast. And we all know that you probably got several dozen, if not several hundred miles of force choke range. Because he was on the Executor, and what's-his-face was on the Devastator.
Yep.
Miles and miles away, and he still just went, "You're done." So the battle begins after she leaves, and Luke and Wedge figure out a daring plan. You know, that's the only kind of plan that the heroes are allowed to have.
Well,
they have
of
to
course.
dare, because who dares wins. Boom!
Oh my God.
It's very British.
Yes, yes it is.
Han and Chewie seal a deal with Perla, and it turns out that Bircher is actually Mon Mothma's nephew, and he gives up a squadron of TIE interceptors.
You mean Mothma, secret agent Mon?
Mon Mothma.
Follow it.
With
Run
what?
around in plain clothes with a robot sidekick.
I don't know what you're
She's
saying.
secret agent Mon.
Oh,
There it is.
you're absolutely terrible. How did you even... Why did you think that that was a good one to bring up?
A Mothma, secret agent Mon. What's wrong with that?
Did you like the book?
Yes, no, it's a great read.
Terrible human being.
I'm really liking the build-up. You know what's really cool about it, and it took me to this issue, is I forgot. Like when you watch Star Wars, Darth Vader's the villain, but he's not like the boss of everything.
Yeah.
You know, and the Emperor's more tenuous and whatnot. And Darth Vader, like, there's hidden mysteries and whatnot. And now we're back to, in this book, unlike every other Dark Horse Star Wars, where Vader's actually the world's spaciest and competent.
Yeah.
Like, oop, lovable Vader, spilling force everywhere. Oh, Vader fell in the soup again.
It's true. Every other book they put him in is like, I am very disappointed in you, Vader. It's been 20 years, but you're starting to grate on my nerves now. Ugh. Whatever, Emperor. You know what? If you were disappointed with him, you've had 20 fucking years to replace him. Don't get iffy on it now.
But, yeah, you've got, like, his plans fall through and he's frustrated, but, you know, he's still, like, walking in the background and, like, I'm off to do this now. Like,
Yep.
You know, he's more Dr. Doomish. Like he was
Yeah,
originally.
yeah.
And that's cool. Like, so I missed that. You have Wedge Antilles having an actual personality moment where it's like, I want to kill everybody. It's like, dude, you're Wedge. You've never killed anyone. You just fly around and not die.
Oh, I'm sure he's taken out a few TIE pilots. Come on.
Quite possibly.
They
But
don't
still.
count, though, because they're in a ship. So, what? No, this thing continues to just blow me away. There's been, like, 2 issues that were just like, okay, what were you thinking with that one? But they've all had parts of them, at least, that redeemed all other dubious parts. Like, especially the Han scenes. Such a big fan of the Han scenes.
No, when
Let's get out of here disguised as a garbage scow. Is it really a disguise, Han? Shut up!
when he refers to her hideout as smelling like a brood of hutlings.
That was hilarious.
Yeah, just an amusing, awesome.
I don't want to know how he knows what a brood of hutlings smells like, though.
He's hung out with Jabba for a long time. He's familiar with some hut odor.
Ew. Some hut musk.
Hut spray. Clean your hut in. No, just no.
Oh, this is too funny. The number 6 issue of Astro City. It's wonderful that it's another. We've gotten 6 issues of Astro City again. So many years waiting for when the hell is Astro City coming back, baby? There's got to be something. They gave us the Dark Age to kind of tide us over, but nobody knew that was happening.
Yeah, I totally missed that back in the day.
Yeah. And I'm looking for the second trade on that. But with this issue, there's some mid-level capo who...
I think he's a mid-level criminal, actually.
Yeah, you think he's more just a wise
Yeah, I
guy
mean, they talk about him, like, reporting to not the governor, but something along those lines. Yeah, I think he's, he's involved with unions on the riverside. So, yes, I'm thinking he's more criminal-based.
No, not COPPO. Not cop, police officer.
Oh, what?
Capo.
Oh, okay.
Capo di tutti capi.
Ah.
The friends of the friends.
All right.
If you
I was
didn't
like,
know what
where
that
on
meant.
earth are you getting that from? Now I get it.
Yes, he's a mid-level capo. He makes kind of deal with the ambassador as the guy who we've been waiting to learn about since the first issue when that stupid door opened on the river. He starts making deals and just giving this guy, look, I can give you all these things, all this material merchandise that we just steal from places.
In exchange, he's teaching him about things.
Yeah, he's teaching him all kinds of interesting stuff. He has some device that can remake a person, and he has to think about what to do with that.
Well, basically, he steals a box of random things. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, I have a cousin who's a metallurgist, which is like something out of Jack Kirby monster comics. Like, oh, hey, my metallurgist cousin is going to check out these weird metal grenade-like things, and touches one and turns into the Ore Master.
Which is like the worst name on the planet. I mean, I'm sorry, Kurt. I love your writing to death, but sometimes your character names are not.
I thought that was a genius name because it's a metallurgist. Like, he doesn't know what the hell he's doing.
Well, it fits,
yeah,
sure, but
I love the fact that this guy's like, I just gained superpowers and I have a boss that I hate. Here, let me just pick what's clever to a metallurgist that, it sounds villainous. I'm an ore man. Yeah, he's a nerd. He's a giant uber nerd. He picked a shitty villain name. It makes sense. It makes perfect sense. And it should happen. Huh? Metallurgo. Yeah.
Come on.
But
Metallurgon.
I love the fact that you have guys, like, back in the day when they first had supervillains, they're like, I'm the spoiler. I'm the prowler. You're an asshat. You're an asshat. Turner D Century. Turner D suck. Terraman. I don't even have words for you. Beat it, Space Cowboy.
That is a rotten name.
But you know what? Like, not every villain should be like, I'm Cyclops. Like, nobody. A lot of the good names are gone. Guys are like, crap.
Ore Master.
To a metallurgist makes sense.
Fine.
And it's hysterically awful.
I get it.
And he gets his ass whipped because he's a friggin' metallurgist, not a lava monster.
That did amuse me. It was like, oh, you think you can just run around with powers now and you're going to be an expert fighter? No. Wham.
But yeah, I mean, and that's what, like, there's such a, for all the modern takes on things and the well thought out aspects of it, there's so many really cool, quiet moments to these things.
Right.
And it always has such a nice 60s feel to things.
Yep.
So I love that about it.
Well, that's what he does. That's what he's always done best.
But then, meanwhile, you have this capo, to use your term, weirdo Italian, and he's trying to say, now he's got 5 more super space grenades that change people. He could build all sorts of things, and he decides, like, yeah, me and my ex-stripper wife are pretty happy. I'll just wait. So it's a story of nothing. Nothing happened. He accidentally creates a supervillain who gets his ass whipped, and then he decides to, keep them in the basement.
Well, it just seems prudent at that point. I mean, how do you train somebody to take on the powers those kind of grenades will give them properly? You can't. He's not a trainer. He doesn't know anything.
Yeah, but he's
more
got
about...
plenty of criminals around him.
He doesn't know. Yeah, but they're hardly, supervillains. They're not going to know anything more than he did.
They'll know how to fight.
Yeah. But then that's just punching people with powers, and he's not.
A lot of guys have made a very good living out of that. Yes, I'm talking to you, Rhino.
So, Baltimore
The end.
was kind of worried about this in the first issue, but they pulled it back out, and they did just fine. We finally learn about the Red King and the influence he has on vampires. The influence of vampires on humanity, and an origin of sorts for Haggis, which is kind of nice, because otherwise, up until now, all this Baltimore stuff has just been he's an irritating vampire, and Baltimore just needs revenge and call it even. But it turns out Haggis is a lot more interesting than that. There's lots of grenades chucked around, destroying the train, and the Inquisitor, of all people, is revealed as a werewolf. Now, when did he get bit? Or was he always?
Well, we have no way of
I
knowing
missed it.
that.
And so then he always was.
Yeah, or, at some point, basically...
Well, in the context of these 3 issues, he always was.
This whole... Baltimore is very Kafka-esque in that, it constantly reveals layers, and it's always going back to the idea that, don't stare too deeply into the abyss, because the abyss is staring into you.
Oh.
And, as Baltimore becomes darker and darker,
Yeah.
he still manages to maintain a light side, whereas, of course, the Inquisitor just went batshit loco. Now I'm a giant wolf monster.
Which I'm sure the next arc will have to take care of.
Well, maybe not. Like, it is, think
Well,
how
he
often
could
they...
skip it.
Right.
He could totally skip it. He's known for just creating things and then walking away and then making something else.
But if you consider, other Mignola books of this ilk, they've wandered from, here, we'll just put this monster out there, and then we'll go somewhere else for a while.
Yeah. They always come... Well, he doesn't always come back around. He frequently comes back around.
So, but this reveals that Baltimore still has his heroic side by blowing up the train, but he's not so nice that he doesn't leave a vampire chick that told him the truth nailed to the water next to fire and sunlight.
Well, I mean, she is a vampire, despite her assistance, and he's all about killing vampires to get to Haggis.
So he's not so heroic in certain aspects.
Well, he's less ethical. I mean, he's fulfilled his duty as a vampire hunter. I mean, he should have, if he made a bargain, he should have kept to the bargain and then killed her later. But you boil it down, he's a vampire hunter, she's a vampire, she had to go.
Yep.
So.
But, so it shows you, how two sides of the same coin, in a sense, between him and the Inquisitor. But Baltimore is definitely still a fun read.
Yep. And, of course, I mean, quite naturally looking forward to the next one. It's going to be fun. I hope. All right. The rather confusing and sometimes off-putting but unmistakably interesting The Star Wars. R2 and 3PO escape, and it's still it's wrecking my head that R2 is speaking English, for fuck's sake.
Dude, he is such...
Or basic, as they call it.
They are such shitty... snippy little bitchy robots.
Aren't they? And that amuses me terribly. It's just weird to not see bloop, bloop, beep, boop. They get picked up by Anakin and Leia and brought to the Lita Fortress, where Leia will now be queen, which is kind of interesting because her mom...
her dad has died, but her mom and brothers are locked up somewhere to keep safe.
So she has to be the figurehead. She has to be the one in charge. She has to be the public... voice of, Aquila or whatever the fuck. The plan is to evacuate to Banff, wherever the fuck that is, and blow the fortress, which seems imprudent. I mean, you got a fortress. I mean, It's a fucking fortress.
Well, there's a certain inevitability to Leia, just being like, screw it, I'm doing this. No matter what Star Wars, how it changes, eventually Leia's going to be like, nope, going with my plan, screw you all.
Eventually, Anakin and Starkiller start running low on fuel and stumble onto some Imperials.
Dude, there's a whole double splash page of stormtroopers with lightsabers riding desert chickens.
Yes.
Like, what the fuck?
Well, I mean, they're space ostriches or something.
Yeah, fair enough. Space chicken just sounds better.
Throw space in front of it, it'll be fine. Jesus, what's wrong with you? There was a lot of Imperials on here. And they even had some staps. I was kind of mildly surprised that they had those anti-gravity bikes with the cannons on the front that they had in Phantom Menace. But it wasn't that surprising,
No, there's some cool aspects. It's such a talky book.
It is. It just yaps on and on.
And what issue is this?
This is 3 of
and
8.
They finally mentioned Han Solo.
Yep. Who won't actually appear until next issue.
And Vader's not even a Sith Lord. He's an evil general while the Sith Lord shows up.
Is actually Valorum, who gets changed into the Chancellor later.
Chancellor Valorum.
So
it still sounds like a fabric.
It does, doesn't it? Oh, that's beautiful. What is that, Valorum? Terrible, I know. You're not laughing.
Well, there's nothing to do with that one. I was worried about the plight of the puppy on television.
You were not. It just wasn't funny. You can fucking say it, man.
Thanks for that.
So, Legends of Red Sonja.
Oh, God.
After reading a couple of issues of Simone Alone, Red Sonja, I thought this would be great to get. I got nothing.
It was nice that they have this character and it's basically a Legend of Red Sonja is a 5-issue miniseries which is like all written and drawn by top names women in the comics industry.
Right.
So in theory that's a nice concept. The problem is that they're all it's not a character. It's not like Black and White Batman where it's such an established character that you can do. There's not a lot of funky, there's no weird dream sequences where Neil Adams is drawing Red Sonja fighting death or anything. It's just, oh, hey, here's a story about how badass Red Sonja is, and then she does something badass. And occasionally, the first story is fairly straightforward. The locking over story with the team of assassins looking for him was way more interesting than it was actually.
It was.
Like, go back to that. And then the second story about a pirate captain and the girl on his ship who fell in love with her, and then the ship sank and she died fighting a giant kraken squid.
Yeah. Kind of, with all those names, I was ready for some serious stuff, and I was just like, it was a story.
It's a short story.
There's nothing bad about any of it. There's no flat out negatives.
It is not easy to get a deep, interesting thought process into 6 pages. It's simply not.
That's true. It does take a frightening amount of talent to take a 40
and even then,
panels
it's not
and
consistent.
make it decent. Yeah.
You look at Dark Horse Presents, you look at Marvel Comics Presents, you look at Warren's Eerie or Creepy or any of those things. They're not always like. There's a lot of ones you're like, that's
normal people don't look at Creepy.
8 pages and nothing. Like you hope that these things will work out. Sometimes they just don't.
No, you need to be a fucking master to get an 8-pager to really blow you away and say, damn, that was a good story. That was pretty cool.
Right. And even those people don't always get it right. Like, Frank Miller's done a lot of very cool short stories and some very strange ones. So has Matt Wagner. Like,
yeah.
You pick Masters and there's plenty of, like, no. So, and in this case, you're not dealing, like, ooh, she fights people with swords and...
Yeah, that's all. That's really all there is to Sonja. I mean, she's not... She doesn't really fight for causes.
She's
doesn't
kind of anti-dude.
Yeah.
So, okay. Fair enough. But, yeah, this did not blow me away.
Well, what do you know?
We tried.
We'll get a trade of the regular book. We did like that one. So.
That was definitely much stronger. But, I think a lot of these people could do good Red Sonja stories and
if they had
time
more
to
room
draw
to
it
work
out.
with.
Right.
Yes. But as it stands, not so much.
It's a nice idea, not for me.
So another nice idea that you seem to be enamored of this month
What you got?
was Manifest Destiny,
Ah.
which I thought to be a promising book, positing that there are monsters out in the very old Western territories, and that Lewis and Clark are actually kind of not quite a black ops operation, but kind of a special forces go clean out the bad guys operation.
Well, they empty all the guardhouses and bring along only unmarried men, so you know that this
And
is
criminals.
not exactly not a healthy mission.
They know a lot of people are going to die.
No, I like this book a lot. It reminded me very seriously of Dan Simmons' The Terror, because they've taken an actual real moment and then just thrown monsters into it.
Yes, absolutely true.
The cover gives a very H.P. Lovecraft feel.
It does.
But on the inside, you've got some sort of Native American Minotaur, centaur thing.
Yeah, that came out of no place. Let's
So-
just have a giant buffalo guy, and let's kill him and freak everybody out with that.
What, you have a guardsman who thinks he's going to get in trouble, murdering his sergeant in the first issue, Lewis and Clark. There's a lot of cool things going on in that. So I definitely enjoyed it.
We'll put it in the trade folder.
There you go.
We totally missed something, because Sledge Hammer 44 makes utterly no sense.
From what I can tell, reading Sledge Hammer 44, obviously we did not read the original series. We missed out on that. It appears that there was a guy in the armor, possibly two, it was a little confusing,
Yep.
who died to save other soldiers, and now his soul is forever trapped within the armor.
Yes.
So he's given up. Now he basically spends the entire issue sitting in a room pouting about how he did the right thing and he's trapped forever. But he didn't really realize he was trapped forever till his spirit dream. What?
It does get a little confusing in there.
And meanwhile, there's some sort of evil Nazi zombie-looking shady monster thing.
But there's a special guest star that we love and adore.
Trevor Brudenholm.
Lobster Johnson comes
Yes,
around.
no, it just the female character was saved by Lobster Johnson in an earlier comic, so you get a shot of him in there.
And that kind of convinces him to go on another mission, where he is betrayed and meets Mr. Mystical Skeletor dude.
Yeah, the villain, I got to see a lot more of that guy. It wasn't in any way horrible, but it didn't immediately grab me like, oh, we have to run out and get the trade to understand this.
Probably need another issue at least. Well, I mean, it's only 3.
Yeah.
So it's probably not going to build up too terribly much more. But I mean, it was readable, if you can find that for a $5 trade, screw it.
Yeah,
There's
think
no need not to have it.
I think if I had read the first one, I would probably look at this very differently.
Yes.
It was not a quick and easy jump on point.
Nope.
But we were pissed that we'd missed the first one, I in particular. So I was all about this one. And it's not in any way terrible, but yeah, it didn't quite. And honestly, it feels like I need the Mignolaverse to stop giving me tragic heroes. Don't they already have a guy who's a psychic who's basically fluid trapped in a bubble?
Yep.
And a golem? Isn't this just a mixture of those two?
It is.
And now, he can never be himself. Isn't anybody happy ever? When they started, Hellboy was pretty jolly, and Abe Sapien made jokes and didn't worry about his doomed fish destiny every single moment.
His doomed fish destiny. Abe didn't worry about his doomed fish destiny.
He didn't. So I feel like it's just gotten
28 minutes in, we got our title.
so bleak. It's just such a bleak world. Everyone is desperately unhappy.
Like DC. But no, I guess you're true. I haven't read the progression of Mignolaverse stuff that you have. So
No, but even in the ones that you have read, as it just goes further and further along, the lighter hand just seems to dissipate into more horribleness.
Yep.
And you have been reading Hellboy in Hell with me, and that's just dark as hell.
Yeah. Yeah, that one was this next one was kind of neat though. That last Hellboy in Hell.
I can't even believe that just showed up after all this time.
Dude, it's been solicited like 19 times. But it's fine, because it was okay. So, Revival 15. There's a lot of books to go through, boy. Whoosh. Like usual, This thing has something different going on every 4 panels. Every freaking page has some bit of plot thread that maybe it advances stuff and maybe it doesn't. It usually doesn't.
I've actually, this issue made me change my take on Revival. Not that I love it, I still love it. But in the past, I'm like, just do something. What I started to think about is Revival as an HBO television show.
Yeah.
And this is the perfect issue to kind of think that way, because you have a lot of things happening, and some of them are pretty dramatic, with like the little girl getting taken to the revivalist asylum.
Yeah.
And everybody's, you know, the husband finding out about the sister being a revival, so that now he'll go undercover for his ex-wife. Like, and there's so many plot points that are hard to keep track of, but it's so convoluted and well done, and that it moves bit by bit. I have gotten frustrated with that, but by thinking about it as a TV episode, not your classic comic book, where you like punch somebody. But if this were, you know, Game of Thrones followed by Revival, you would be all about this format. Because things are drawing slowly, and you get enough hints to be intrigued, and then every now and then something big happens.
Yep. This is all completely true.
But
what specifically happens, this particular issue has Dana telling us of her misspent youth and her desperate desire to later impose order, while the government is confiscating livestock to test for revival causes. Somewhere along the line, Majak and M have a conversation about Weimar. Dana and her stoner ex have have a talk. Sometimes I don't put enough spaces between my letters when I write.
That can make life harder.
The stoner ex and her have a talk. Creepy no eyeball kid is dropped off with the feds, and the mayor explains the livestock, but survivalist one-eye guy implies that he's ready to lead an insurrection.
Yeah, that was... There's your awesome Jaws moment right there. You want your cows? I'll get your cows for you.
I'll find the cows for 10, but I'll catch them and bring them back for 20. And that's the broad strokes. I mean, there's conversations in there.
There's a lot of depth. But yeah, it really is just such an amazingly drawn out... Like, there's so many elements that are happening simultaneously in this book.
And I'm really starting to wonder if how much longer he can keep it together before it starts getting silly.
You know what? Like, he's moving almost everything along at a strong pace. Like... And occasionally, you know, he jumps into a format where he focuses on one area, but he still brings everybody with him. Like, and even the ones he's not using, don't get me wrong, there's a couple things, like the gay detective with his really hot date that has never been addressed. Like, what was the point? Why'd I have to read that if it's not going anywhere with it?
Yeah,
but
at least tell us what happened after, for God's sake.
For the most part, though, like everything, even like the reporter is still moving forward in her storyline, and the guy who's in love with her and tried to kill her is in the hospital, so they don't have to move him forward. Just the control he has to not just vomit this all over the page and be like, here you go.
No, he's taken a lot of effort and a lot of talent to spread it out that way. Because I know when I've tried to write things, my whole writing formula is this happened and this happened and this happened and this happened, it's over. That's how I write shit. And that's why I don't write long form anything ever. Because it occurred to me that once I had the bright idea to try to do a science fiction novel. And I didn't outline it, and I didn't do anything. I had a bunch of broad concepts that I was going to try to work from. And I just said, this happened, and this happened, and this happened, and holy shit, I'm almost done with the story. I've written 5 pages. This is not a fucking novel. This is a short story at best. I mean, this is... So I gave up that kind of writing.
Yes, but this reads like a Chung Kao book or Game of Thrones. Like, it's incredibly convoluted, and he's juggling a lot of characters. And he's doing it very well. Like, I do occasionally get frustrated, just like with Game of Thrones or Chung Kao, but
it's
it's good nonetheless.
Yes, and so I've read at this point now a couple of hack slash, and it's nothing like that
At all, which just goes to show how versatile he can be when he wants to.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm keeping going. I'm not speaking English today.
No, you were just crashing and
I'm
learning.
terrible, man. This is what the hell.
And
is
you're
coming out
sober.
my
Maybe
mouth?
that's why.
That's got to be it, right? Saga 15.
Speaking of convoluted with multiple
Yes.
storylines,
The reporters get some dirt on Alana, which personally I think is just a line of horseshit. I'm not so certain that she's this badass anti-aircraft bombardier lady that can just
super spy.
super spy her way through an entire war and not, and come out unscathed and be a hero that nobody knows about, for God's sake. So they get a contract taken out on them because somebody doesn't want them to know anything about Alana or Marco. Now, maybe that's because it's just the general public shouldn't know that the war might be over if people can relate to each other, which is probably it. But, that's happening on one side. On the other side, back with Alana and Marco, they have the brilliant idea to go be vaudevillians.
It's just what it is, too.
Which kind of blows my mind. I mean, really, in this far-flung universe of wherever the fuck they are with both magic and technology, the best they can come up with to live a life is, Al Jolson, for fuck's sake.
Well, I mean, it's very underground TV, so
Yeah, but really? Are they going to live on
you can't stop the
underground
signal,
TV?
man.
Shut up, Mal. Hey, really. Gwen finally understands the planet's scheme to keep them there because it's hungry. And, it rescues the will from Sophie, who, if you remember, an issue ago had slit his throat. Now, the interesting thing here is that just as Prince TV arrives, Mom and Mr. Salinger get a little close.
Yeah, the Prince TV. I'm very much looking forward to the big confrontation there. But I really want to hit the part where, first off, you have the cat attack the little girl, which was impressive. That came out of nowhere. That the cat actually did something, and then that's followed up with, the only way I can save you is to bring you to my ex-boyfriend, fiance, who we're tracking to murder. I feel like the hospital would be much faster and more successful.
Yeah, I mean,
than
they
that.
got a ship to bring him to another planet. Why wouldn't they just bring him to a planet that had a hospital?
That just was so bizarre.
That was a bit of logic that didn't quite fit. So that threw me a bunch. But the arguments, the debates, the vaudevillianism, it all amuses me terribly, and I mean, I'm very engaged in this book.
No, it's a great book. Like, it's a lot of fun to read. You look forward to the next issue, and there's a lot of that. Like, again, there's a lot of characters being juggled well, and what's happening here, what's going on there. Just so many cool
quite
things.
as many, though.
No, and not, and they're definitely, there's more action and more actual things that you want to see happen or can't wait to see happen than Revival. But yeah,
True.
There's a lot of depth, and everybody's, like, he's just like every other Vaughn book. He's put a lot of thought into where everyone came from and what their backstory is.
He's put a frightening amount of effort into this book, man. I don't even want to know how long he's been working concepts for this thing.
But yeah, big fight scene is coming. Cannot wait.
Yes. So, in Pretty Deadly 2, this drug trip of a book has a skeleton bunny telling a butterfly about Death's daughter, and the raven-cloaked hunter after the snake oil sales team. A family that met the team is being attacked and calls to Skull-Faced Ginny, which is the daughter of Death, or whatever the hell her name is, and she wipes out the bad guys. Ginny, however, wipes out Alice, who was one of the bad guys, right?
I
Follow me
thought
on
Alice was Death's daughter also. Like, I'm totally confused by this book.
Well, after the comma was, and then I'm confused.
Everything is convoluted and weird. We're 2 issues in, and you're making me hate Westerns. Like, damn you. Damn you so much. And it's just not the right art style for me for a Western.
Yeah.
It's very... Everybody has feathers somehow.
Which is kind of odd.
Yeah.
You don't really need feathers in the desert. I mean...
I love Westerns. I don't understand this book at all.
Well, I read it like 4 times. And it didn't help me get any further along.
The art definitely made it somewhat hard for me to follow key points in
art
it. Like the
makes it
fight
really
sequence, I
hard
was
to follow.
totally confused by.
Yeah, lost on that completely.
Like, I think they're dead. They're not...
Oh, there's another demon on the stage. Okay. Swords. Wire work. Teeth.
Yeah, those 3 things always go together.
Well, in a martial arts flick, sometimes they do. So, I'm still trying to figure out, and I'm not even fucking around here. I'm still trying to figure out if this is a good book or not.
What's that?
Pretty Deadly.
Pretty Deadly? I don't care. I just... 2 issues in, I don't want to read the 3rd one. I'm not interested in what happens next. I'd rather not look at it. So, from my way of thinking, therefore it is not. Like, could it go somewhere interesting? Sure. Like, there's some neat concepts. It's somewhere between Fables and the Old West, which I want to like a lot more. It's better than All-Star Western.
Yes, there's a shitload better than All-Star Western.
But
For the moment.
Yeah. It feels very indie, which of course it is, but not in a way that I'm enjoying.
I don't know where to go with it. I mean, it's not even so much the cuts. It's very little is flat out explained.
Yeah, and I don't need to have a map drawn for me, but
Like-
I want to follow something more than this.
Like, I didn't even realize the kid had something that somebody wanted till the 3rd issue. I was like,
Yeah, no,
really?
they talked about that in the first. Like,
Yeah,
that
but
guy gave it to her, and then the other girl was looking for it, so he shot him in the hooker bed, and then he had sex with the hooker in the hooker bed, despite being wounded. Like, what the fuck?
Yeah, weird jumps like that. And it's just like, okay, whatever. So Buck Rogers 3.
Is awesome.
Yes, the Han spies do their job while Buck and Wilma fight the rival gangs. One of which is trying to use Ardala, of all people, as a bargaining chip in the New World Order they are trying to manipulate the Americans into wiping each other out to get.
Dude, Killer Kane and Ardala. That's awesome. But you've also got, like, Black Barney comes back just to die. Oops. And Wilma finally has, like, the smallest amount of depth, but continues to be a racist asshole just to screw with Buck.
Pretty much, man.
And his secret agents actually live up to their plan, which was very cool. I think this is an awesome book. I'd love to see them go further with this, but I feel like once Chicken comes off it, it's
Yeah,
going to
that'd
fall
be the
back
end of
into
it.
like bad Buck Rogers, bad sci-fi.
Yes.
Beady. Yeah.
It all comes back to that goddamn beady, doesn't it?
It does. You know, the difference in between good and bad can be defined as beady.
The difference between good and bad can be defined by beady.
What is his name? Twinkles or?
Wiki.
Oh, yeah, I was so fucking off.
Oh, that was the late 70s, man. What were you going to do?
You know what? And we are better off. I'm sorry. Like, I know you actually enjoyed the show to a degree, and I should probably
No,
revisit
see,
it.
you know, I rewatched it with some nostalgia,
Yeah.
and I was shocked at how much skin they got away with on network TV in the late 70s. But I got through the first season, and you know, it was as solid as a network show in the late 70s was going to get.
A little better than Space 1999.
Shitload better. Dude, I couldn't get through the season of Space 1999. I did get through the season of Buck Rogers,
There you go.
largely because of the skin. But
Shut up.
I tried to get through. I tried to watch the second season, no skin.
I'm out.
I was done. I could. No, they brought in the Hawk chick. They brought in the Hawk guy. They brought in the Hawk fucking world. And you know when you bring in Hawk World, the fucking shit's over.
Yep, same thing with the Justice League.
But it just got up its own ass with moralistic horse shit in the second season. You know, and
everybody was trying to be Star Wars again.
They would pull out
Star Trek, rather.
Yeah, they would pull out scientific concepts just to pull them out. They wouldn't actually be relevant to the show or anything. They would just be talking to the robot at one point, and I believe that would the odds of that happening will be equal to about 1 in 1 Googleplex. And then he'd spend 5 minutes explaining what the fuck a Googleplex was. And I'm sure that there's a couple of members of our audience right now that still don't know what the fuck a Googleplex is. And let me explain to you what that may be. A Googleplex is the number 1 in 1-inch type, followed by enough zeros to encircle the world at the equator 63,000 times.
Jesus Christ.
And that's not even a fucking joke. That is a real number that some nuthatch came up with. Fuck mathematicians.
Yep.
Oh, but math, the whole universe is math. I will never need a Googleplex in my life.
Yeah, but I'm sorry, Buck Rogers has been awesome.
No, it's been a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I'm telling you, once I get that original novel, I'll give it to you. You'll blow through it in half an afternoon. And no, because it's only like 200 pages. Yeah. It's short as shit, and it's not a difficult read at all.
Oh, man.
The other non-difficult read for this month was Sex Criminals 3, where we hear about old boy's history, which I really didn't need to hear about because it was about as awkward as any other young boy's sex history.
I don't want to know.
I totally didn't give a shit.
I'm just reading this like,
And the whole thing is that they're doing that between each other and texting like 15-year-olds, and I don't care, man. Yes, you understand that people communicate by text now. I communicate by text now. That's great. I don't need it in my fucking comic book. Just tell me what's happening. I don't need crazy formatting to make the book interesting. If the story itself ain't making it interesting, telling it to me through text is not going to add to it.
I like the fact that they've acknowledged at least the fact that the closeness they have is odd, and that they recognize that.
Yes.
They're like, first date, 55 hours. Well, that's just not normal.
Yes, that's true.
And it's not just because of the quiet. Although, sharing something that strange is probably helpful for building a relationship quickly. But then they decide, he comes up with the brilliant plan of robbing a bank to save her library.
Right.
She signs on in about 4 seconds. And then they run into other people in the quiet who proceed to punch them in the face.
And claim that it is, in fact, their world. So while
you're just banging in it.
Yes. This is my world! My world!
I did it my way.
And I didn't get number 4. So
I'm okay with that. And maybe I would read a graphic of this, but I'm not looking forward to this book.
Yeah, it's odd enough that it makes you prick up your ears, but it's kind of like, okay, so you're dumb and you bang and you goof off, and I don't care. Uber 7. I mean, there's no segue between Sex Criminals and Uber. There just isn't.
No. One of these things is not like the other.
The Japanese are presented with the Uber plans by the Germans. The kid getting picked on last issue became kind of shell-shocked when his partner is just blown the fuck away by a shell. The Japanese Ubers start to take a toll and picked on kid, because I don't think they gave him a name, did they?
Well,
Johnson. His name was Johnson. And Johnson apparently...
What, the kid?
Yes.
Yeah, he's the little brother of the first U.S. battleship.
Yeah, which was named...
They gave it to me, but I don't remember.
He's Johnson. His name's Johnson. It's Johnson. Apparently, he's next up.
I believe it's Rogers.
Rogers. Wow. Rogers Johnson.
I'm kidding.
So,
Steve Rogers.
Johnson's Rogers. I don't know. Rogers Johnson. Who knows?
I hate you. I hate you so much.
Why did you make me wait so long for that?
Oh my god, because you didn't even deserve it. You didn't even deserve to get that I hate you.
It turns out that he's next in line to be the next American Uber.
So now they've got a shell-shocked dead brother freak that they're going to fast track into the battle. That's not going to go horribly.
Yeah, that seems like a terrible idea at best. Because he's going to... You know, I'm not sure he's got the kind of personality that would allow for a revenge trip. But who knows what the process will do to him. You know?
Yep, no, it was very strange. I am, however, I like the fact that they address things with the Japanese ones, and they're coming with a totally different take. Like, using them as human torpedoes, that was just fucking horrible.
Yeah.
Like, that never
That's the
even
best
occurred
you
to
can
me.
think up with.
But it was genius. It's like, I'm just going to go out there and swim and then punch through a boat.
That is a great idea, actually.
But, you know, the Japanese ones don't seem to be quite as invulnerable as the German ones.
No, I think the Japanese ones are just Panzermenken at this point, rather
Right.
than full-out battleships. You know?
But, yeah, no, it just does. Uber is such a sick world, but it's so well thought out.
I don't know. Is it really sick, though?
Well, people keep blowing up. I mean,
Well, I mean, people blow up all the time in comic books. That ain't shit. I mean,
no, true. I mostly because it's an Avatar book, so I assume it's a sick world. No, I think Uber is a really, really solid book.
I read his back matter every once in a while, and I wonder just how sensitive a cat this guy is, because he admits constantly about tiptoeing around all kinds of things and being desperately worried about how things are going to come across.
Well, I think because when you're tackling revisionist history,
Yeah.
people tend to be very pushy about what they want. You know, when you write about the Civil War, if you get one thing wrong,
There's always some tool bags that
Right,
they
and then-
tamped the metal ball down twice with the steel rod. Thank you, Jessup.
but then people are even worse when you get like an aspect that when you write somebody's personality differently,
Yeah.
people tend to take that very seriously.
Well, it's a serious book, so, and I dig it. I'm going to keep going with this one until Gillen, starts fucking up. If he does. He has not shown me many signs of fuck-upableness right there.
Nope, he's made some ridiculously bizarre concept work very well. So,
Yep. Now you've given me a segue. Speaking of ridiculously bizarre concepts, Afterlife with Archie 2. Shit gets real after Jughead shows up at the dance and eats Ethel.
Jughead's back and you're gonna be in trouble.
Some people escape to Veronica's house and they start to fortify and make plans, even though Daddy What's-His-Fuck with all the dough is kind of mad that Archie is around, even though, that seems kind of
Scrooge
petty.
McWeatherby
in the middle
or
of
whatever
a
the hell his name is.
fucking zombie apocalypse.
Dude, if you had a daughter that looked like Veronica, you'd want to murder every boy that came around, too. All right, you know how protective you would be.
especially those goofy ginger bitches.
So,
Oh, Francovilla, you are in fact awesomeness.
dude, it's such a cool book. And, I know nothing about the current content of the Archieverse. And they're firing all these characters off. I'm like, I don't know who you are, but are you going to get eaten? That's all I care about.
There's names in there I literally haven't heard of in decades. I was like, Ethel. Oh, yeah. Jughead's girlfriend, Ethel.
Well, she wanted to be his girl. He's more interested in hamburgers, which is kind of creepy.
Well, the one time he showed interest in her, she became Hamburger. I love when you do a fake laugh and then you actually laugh at it. It's like you've rethought your sarcasm. It's like, ha ha ha, oh no, that was funny. Fuck you. It means that your rude sarcasm is your natural reaction, and then laughter takes its place. You know how fucked up that is? See? That's not healthy.
It's fine.
Oh yeah, fine. Be not concerned, good sir, with your mental decardation.
I don't know what in the hell is wrong with you.
I don't either.
But it's a fun book, man. It's taking an oddly serious tack on fucking zombies in Riverdale. That could so easily have been
the zombies went to the sock hop, took off their shoes, and fucking did the
No, yeah. I mean, think about and I
did
can't
the jitterbug.
No, but think about, and I can't believe I have to bring this up. The Archie Punisher crossover.
That one was pretty serious. That one was played pretty straight.
But no one got shot. No one got hurt. It was a much cleaner dip.
Yeah.
Think about it. Like Punisher danced with the teacher.
Oh, I totally didn't remember that.
Yeah,
part.
and, in a different world. And he pretended to be the coach at the high school. Like, it was a totally different thing.
Just the mere concept of Punisher showing up in Riverdale, it just amuses me terribly.
As well it should. But yeah, like this is, and I don't think this would exist if that hadn't, to be fair.
No, probably not.
But that really stayed much truer to Archie than it did the Punisher.
Yeah.
So this is really like, oh, fuck it, nope, just eat people. Like when I first read about this, I demanded that we get it because, I mean, how could you not? But I didn't think that they'd actually, like, how far they'd go never occurred to me. Like, holy shit, somebody just ate Mr. Weatherby. God,
he deserved
damn.
it, the prick.
Yeah, so none of that. I never envisioned this becoming what it actually is, which is awesome.
I was actually happy with Hickman's God is Dead.
Number 3. The Norse have started the war, so now other gods are going out.
Right. The South Americans have wiped out some Egyptians, but they're taking down a peg themselves.
By the Egyptians.
Retaliation is a bitch. After all the fighting, the humans take some biological samples, and that's where it's getting weird, from fallen gods, ostensibly to make their own.
A couple points. The science team...
The science team seems more... They do not seem like fucking science team.
No, it's a horrible group. And when you had to watch the guy in the wheelchair just gently draft down in his parachute, I'm like, oh my god. And then, is it just me, or is he only writing, like, this feels like a video game. Like, you can pick 3 gods from each pantheon, and they're the only ones. Like, I've seen 3 of everybody, and that's it. So who was this random dead god that they found?
It's one of the minor gods. It's Jeff, the god of biscuits.
Biscuits and gravy, Jeff. But yeah, like,
and Coca-Cola in the interval.
Only the original though, not New Coke.
Yes.
That New Coke had no god. it was
Coke
a godless
was the devil
entity.
itself. I don't remember New Coke.
It sucked. But yeah, like, I just feel like it's moving very quickly, which is odd for Hickman.
Which is fine for me.
Yeah, which is why you're liking it. Although he's already off the damn thing.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah,
That's
you
right.
dumped it because it had a new writer within 6 issues, which is
So it makes me wonder if it's really his book. Because, in essence, in reality, that is, hey, if it's your property, you can hire anybody you fucking want to do it. I guess if this really is his property, and he says, well, this guy, I think, is talented enough to continue on, and I can do other shit.
right. Well, a lot of people have done that.
That's fine and dandy. Nothing wrong with that.
Chagman brings in people to work on his stuff all the time. No,
yeah.
But I don't like this concept enough to be like, oh, hey, new person, I'm in.
Nah, that's plenty. We'll see how, whatever it was, 6 or whatever, plays out, and then we'll call it even.
There you go.
And speaking of calling it even, I'm starting to feel like those idiot mechanic guys on like 1080 in the morning. They laugh at the same stupid jokes they make themselves all the time. Like, our lawyers are Dewey, Cheatham, and Howe.
They really say that.
They do.
Oh.
Yes. The same stupid jokes all the time.
That is horrifying.
So we need to change that shit. I need to change my method of getting things out of my mouth. At any rate, having established...
Really? You've been getting complaints, have you?
Yes.
think about that and then be mad at me.
I know exactly where you're going. I didn't really need to think there at all. You went for the low-hanging fruit, and you got my balls.
God damn it, it sounds much worse when you say it that way.
Aha! Good night, kids.
Oh, wait, that was it? We're done?
It's over.
Bless you, fucker!
And away.
The Mean Geek is recorded live at the Reverend Mad Duck's apartment whenever the hell we can get to it. Find us on Facebook, Stitcher, Twitter under @TheMeanerGeek. Subscribe to us through RSS.
Or we can be located at our own site, www.themeangeek.com. And most importantly of all, you can find us as a proud member of the Comics Podcast Network.
Email us directly at themeanergeek@gmail.com.
Can I drink now?
You may.